Dream Kitchen. What the fuck, man? Let's cook some food. Dream Kitchen. I love food. No shit, no shit, no shit, no shit, no shit, no shit. Okay. I'm just trying to understand what's supposed to happen. I just warmed up this kettle because I'm making... Yeah, it's warm enough. Actually, I'll show what I'm making. Actually, I want to make bread. Or dough. Something that I used to make. That's just sometimes a bit of a... Because I can't make it the way that I would want to. You know how I used to make bread was like really smashing. To soften up the dough, but this kitchen is not made for this. Okay, so what I can do is just let go of what you know. Okay, I'm really trying to understand my character. Okay, I know I have somewhere. Beetroot. Okay, just give me a short introduction. Okay, what I know about Christopher. This is an interesting thing. What do I know about Christopher? Well, I think he's an interesting character. He certainly knows how to do certain things, but he also has limitations, right? He's suffering. I would even say he's a great fan of suffering. And at the same time, right, I don't really know. So I would say Christopher is this little kid. It's just baking powder. I know, I just gave up on yeast, although I actually always really liked yeast. But I just had the feeling I had to change my body. And a part of that was letting go of yeast. But I do drink beer still. Where's this other one? Yep. Right, so it's just a chance to understand what's going to happen. I mean, So I've been practicing meditation a lot now. And I actually don't understand. You see, that's always this guy inside of me that just says, I don't understand. What am I supposed to do? You know, what's going to happen? You know, all these questions, all these anxieties. And what I've been learning in meditation was that, yeah, there's this part of myself that asks these questions all the time. But then there's also this part of myself that just has the answers. I mean, it's just like, what am I supposed to say? I mean, you feel emotional strain. You know, work with it. Okay, this is going to... Okay, first, put in... Yeah, I'm going to start with this, which is the full corn. You see, this man that's working now has direction. He knows what to do. He knows when to do it. And then there's this, let's just, for the sake of argument, call him Christopher or Chris. And he's this underlying, irresponsible, childish thing. If you tell him to do something, you know, he's just going to wait until the last moment and he's going to do it. And you know, it's kind of strange to separate or distance yourself. Okay, because now we're talking about change. Christopher is trying to change, but he needs help. And he's asking for help. And then there's a voice inside that says, do this, but Christopher is afraid to do it. For example, so we can say, you know, Christopher is this little child. And the higher self, you know, is actually a little bit too wild. Because it's like, you know, I want to go all out, I want to go nuts. And then inside there's this little kid that says, better be careful, right? And so it's about finding the distance and then saying, okay, whatever the higher self is, you know, I'm just going to call it that because, you know, right now I just know. And it had a weird kind of a day. You know, I did things and then I wrote in my book and rendered videos, and then I was kind of lost and I started watching, you know, the I says that, but who's the I? So I started watching, I made a fresh batch of tea, rooibos vanilla with black tea, ginger. Actually, I think it's missing cinnamon, but maybe it's good like the way it is. Right, so, you know, so at some point, there's this adult version of yourself. You know, it's that thing that, maybe call it the warrior, that just makes choices to keep you alive. And at the moment, you know, although people may think, yeah, he's leading a good life, what they also don't realize is that they could never live it just like that. I mean, I was clinging to so many things because I felt like I was missing a lot of stuff because I was always looking for it in other people. And that made me run around a lot. And to this day, right, it's hard to say what the effect was and what's going to happen, right? Because it's hard to say how other people are going to change, or if they may not ever change. And maybe they've changed enough. So You know, Christopher's that guy, you know, he wants to have friends and he wants to be liked and he wants to be appreciated. And then there's this older version that says, you know, I mean, this is already true. I mean, parents don't give their child an apartment for no reason, but that stands in, right? So the problem is that while the child is happy about this apartment, right, the adult thinks, well, that doesn't seem like, you know, I really can stand on my own 2 feet because other people are paying my apartment. But if I then look at the emotional weight that I carry, then what I can see is that I already manage to maintain my own space. And, you know, it's like hard to listen when you're already full of hate, which is why my most important job in this life was to, or probably in every life, because that's, you know, the spirit of a warrior will always be a warrior. And only a small fraction of the tribe is actually warriors. You know, not everyone in the tribe is a hunter. Although, I think if you're in a proper tribe, most men are. You know, I mean, there's no transgender in tribes, but there may be occasionally a weird kind of a guy, but, you know, it's unlikely that such a guy would father a child. You know, because the idea is that you have to become a man. But how do you become a man if you're trapped in a society that's just has everything? I mean, you never have to hunt anything, which is why first going to the boulder hall and then buying the chicken on the way back is like the closest thing, you know, that you can get to a hunter. Because you kind of hunted it, right? You earned it. You earned the chicken. You know, I did this and then I can get myself a chicken. But then you get back home and then, you know, what's now the higher self? What's the lower self? I feel like the lower self is like all these instincts, fear and all that kind of stuff and hate. But if you're connected to your higher self and you know how to distance yourself, you know, then what's going to happen? Well, I would say you're going to learn to deal with all this hate and rage and start making better choices, because that's what it's about. You don't want to choose fear all the time. So out of fear, you know, whatever part of me would have deleted my website, but the other part thinks, I think it's gonna be all right. It's just that apart from the feeling, you know, it's gonna be all right, or it already is all right, you know, I have no clue what's actually going on. And that's then again where you have to have the trust as a man. Because imagine you would be the chief, you know, of a tribe, or the father of a family is also a chief. You know, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And from my perspective, until now, nothing has happened, right? And that's weird. But if nothing keeps happening, you know, I just continue to fight. Until, you know, things start happening by themselves. But what are you supposed to do? You know, all I know is that, you know, it seemed like I was lacking money and I was going to lose my website. And I was about to delete it. I was in the process. And something inside me said, fight. And you think, you know, can I even talk about this? I mean, it's so far in the future that this is going to be released, but I mean, how is this supposed to be all right? I mean, there's going to be minus on my account, you know, unless unexpected things happen. And recently, except for myself, I can't say that a lot of unexpected things have happened. I mean, I'm actually the biggest surprise to myself. You know, there didn't come a lot of surprises from the outside. more like what I would consider to be disappointments or letdowns, where I think like, or I feel, or I fear the community I was trying to build, it's not going to be able to hold me. But I don't even know, right? I don't know who's a part of the community, who is looking at my things. So these are all assumptions that I make for myself based on, how I see the world. And that may actually be not how the world is at all. And that then, raises further questions. What do I know of the world? How is the world really? Because it can change any day. I mean, whatever you do in your life, if you keep doing it, there's always the possibility that something will happen. It's just strange because you don't know what's gonna happen. And sometimes I feel that if I keep looking at what might happen, I forget to do what actually needs to happen right now. And now I was trying to think, what am I supposed to do? Am I going to sleep? But I felt like I want to eat. Yeah, normally I would take it now and just do, but because it shakes the dough through. And maybe this is a more gentle approach. So now I'm going to a bit more flour at the bottom. Right. I mean, proper dough needs proper kneading. And I'm just going to bake it in a pan, like a chapati a bit. Then I'm just going to have bread, like a flat bread. That's the plan. But yeah, for chapati, I wouldn't have put in. So there's chapati with oil and there's chapati without oil. You see, if I'm like really anxious and I'm starting to freak out and I feel like I don't know, maybe my body needs strength. It's the middle of the night. What time is it? It's like 1 o'clock or something. It's like my first attempt on a compost heap. Yeah, 1 o'clock. And that's it. What's going to happen, I don't know. But I can try to see it. It's impossible. That's just what I'm saying. It's impossible. You can feel something may happen. But what's going to be the reach? What's going to be the reach? How far is what you're doing going to reach? Because I've certainly thrown some pebbles, for quite some time now. And you just don't know what's going to happen. You start to become a little bit desperate. Then you think, I've already done so much stuff. How is it possible that nobody's, Okay, I've also made it hard for people to reach me. But if somebody would really want to reach me, he would find a way. And, maybe somebody hands out my phone number. So I've also stopped talking a lot about these things. Because if people live off your fear, then you don't have any to propel yourself to the next phase anymore. So it's also a part to hold on to your fear. Like, my strength in my hands has really increased. I usually need it like this, right? And now I started doing like this because I've got more strength in my wrists from doing these planks, also on my fists. So you can see how sometimes simple things can change your whole appearance, your whole demeanor. I'm just turning into someone else while I'm being alone in my apartment. And then it's just hard to remember that someone when you leave the apartment. Because now I'm like living somewhere else in myself. And when I'm out, am I going to be like a child again? Or I'm just going to be, I think I was too wild. Which is weird because you think people would like that in a man, to be wild. But if you're wild too long, you're just gonna die. And too many questions that I cannot answer, that I feel like are just gonna answer themselves. Because sitting around trying to think about it, I just have to do things. Because the more I sit around and think about it, the more depressed I'm going to get. The solution is to get going, to just keep recording, to keep writing, to keep posting. And I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, that's the thing, you don't know. But there's something that I think I know, or I feel like I know, and it also looks like, because, I talk a lot about, deep insights that people just can't even begin to relate to. It may sound true when I say it, but you have no idea what kind of emotion is going to be triggered in you when I open my mouth and I say something. Because, these insights that you get from staying alone at home and dwelling on problems and finding solutions, these insights are too hard to understand if you just hear me say these things. Because what you have to get is, if you've never slacklined, then seeing me slackline may just blow your mind. If you never even knew a slackline exists and then you suddenly come around and I'm slacklining, it's like, what the heck? And then, from the moment you see someone slackline, or you are being introduced to the slackline, to the moment where you can walk over it with no problem at all, that's a stretch. That's a real stretch. And it's gonna feel strange if you look back then. It's also, the better you become, the more you get used to it. And the more you can accept. I don't know. For me, it's working, right? But, then to also consider all these worldly things, such as money and, business inquiries and whatnot, do I have to really be concerned with that? Or is there just going to be like an angel that's going to help me? Just going to say, hey, I don't know why, but I just had the feeling you need financial help. You say, yeah, you're right. And then, I don't know, just because you trust and you give into it and you feel also like, I think I've done enough. I feel like I'm ready. You think, surely somebody must have noticed, because I'm not the only spiritual being out there doing this kind of stuff. There are people who look for people like me. And that's then maybe a strange coincidence that I met this version of myself, or today. I was just sitting, I was just laying down and I thought, what am I going to do now? It's like, feeling sick and human and all of that. I just thought, this voice in myself said, just go and meditate. I've had these things before. I woke up at 4 at night and with this clear instruction, set an alarm for 1 hour and just sit there and meditate. It's like, all right. And I did it and I actually managed. But I haven't done it ever since. But that experience showed me, yeah, I can do it. But I've never done it ever since. So what I realized also that I had a lack of strength, which is why I've been doing all this physical work, right? Because I realized if my body's too weak, I can never hold the meditative state for as long as I need to, maybe. And, to me, it's scary. meditation is more scary than smoking a joint for sure. But it's way better for my spirit. But at the same time, earlier I slept. And before I smoked, and then I felt tired and I went to sleep. I think I ate something before, so did I eat? Yeah, I ate a pizza. I started watching, I watched a movie. First I watched Paprika, which is an anime. Then I started watching Alien vs. Predator. Just for, I'm relearning by watching movies also, right? Just dealing with concepts, comparing it to how I feel about the world and about the people in it. Maybe sometimes it's better to have a first-hand account. And what was happening was that I was sitting there, I was in bed, and then suddenly I woke up and then I went down and I felt different. I don't know, I felt like kind of strong, but also male, really masculine. Not angry, but I mean, wizards are always kind of prone to anger, which I think, Gandalf gives a good expression or impression of how I feel, It's like, you're close to truth, which is why if somebody comes and sells you bullshit, you're just gonna be like, yeah, leave me alone. And that's then looking at the contents of my own lies. I have no idea. I think I always tell the truth. I think I always tell the truth. Which is why if I write a book and I write about meditation, that's the I again. Christopher does that. He has to do it. It's his job. He's the one that wants to have a wife. And I'm just making sure that he does this. But who's I now? I say Christopher wants this, and I'm making sure that he gets it. So, you see what I mean? There's this, I'm always different, depending on the phase of day. I don't know if other people are like this or if that's just being an Aquarius. I'm always different, I dress different, I do different things. Some days I feel cold, some days I feel like, heat, sometimes I feel like moving, sometimes I feel different. And so now I didn't want to dump all this stuff from, Ramdas or Terence McKenna on you again, or, Christopher probably would have done that. But the man in me just says, just do it yourself, man. But then you think, well, do it yourself? Did I do this myself? Was this my creation? Because it looks to whoever like, my parents pay me this. Who are my parents then? From a spiritual perspective, are they really parents? Well, hard to say, right? Or is there just people that, walk with you through life? If I would have oil now, I would put oil around it a little. Right, and then I would bake it. That's how I used to do it. I still have a bit of oil. But, does it really matter? I don't think so. I can also put a bit of water on top. Or I just leave it like this. I could put also a wet cloth around it. So the idea is to just let this sit. So suddenly I feel really relaxed. And so all the while I was really struggling. I was struggling against writing. I was struggling against everything. I just said, I don't want it anymore. But, at one point you just have to say, I cannot pretend any longer. Because I don't want to work for others. This is the job that I've chosen. I like being an author. And I like being on the radio. I actually like it. And I'm trying to get there somehow. I like a lot of things. But right now I just feel so different from how I felt before. Just because of the choices that I made. Also doing the laundry, taking care of my food. I mean, I'm really learning to take care of this presence and this job and the responsibilities that come with being whoever this is. Which is also nice because if I don't film myself directly to my face, I can distance myself from who I think I'm seeing. It's not that I'm always going to do it, but I'm doing it now. But this is also very delicate, to like pick your character that you want to be very wisely. Look at people that you see and then ask yourself, is this how I want to be? Also, people you spend time with or used to spend time with, you can go back in your memory and ask yourself, wait, is this how I want to be? Is this how I want to be? Is this how I want to be? And the question is, why do I want it to be like this? Or why did it turn out? Why did it turn out like this? It could have turned out in any other way, but it turned out in this way. And I could have never planned it. And the question is it good the way it is? Well, it is the way it is. So I want to keep, Christopher is afraid that he's going to lose his website, but I know he's going to keep it. When am I Christopher? And when am I the I that knows? That just has this feeling he's going to keep it. He's going to keep it. He's going to keep his website. And how is he going to keep his website? Well, blows me. That's like above my pay grade. That's not what I have to I'm not supposed to know some of these things. I just know it's going to work out, but I don't know how. I know it's going to work out. There are so many possibilities, and none of them may be the one that is going to bring about this change. All I have to do is hold on and keep working and stay away from the internet. But for how long? How long? For how long am I supposed to stay away from the internet? Because what's going to happen in the meantime? But every time I check the internet, I lose energy. Last time I checked the internet, it was like, boom. Okay, maybe if I wouldn't have checked it, but I had to see it. And then I had to make choices. And then the choice is either, right, do you delete the website or do you have faith? I mean, if you talk about it to people, it just looks like something that's insane. Can I just ignore this? But the message that came through and that was very clear, the answer was very reluctant. And I wasn't sure if, it just felt right. It said, nobody can delete this website anymore. Not even you. You don't have the strength to delete it. But because we all have this money-based thinking, I have to have the money now, or otherwise, it's never going to work. But what if the money comes right now? How would you know? It may be there already, millions of euros, just like that. You never know. Because there are beings that are connected to spirit, and if spirit says this man needs money, then they're gonna donate money. These things do exist. I don't know, I just never saw it happening. But I feel in myself something's gonna happen. And all I have to do is remember how I felt when I knew I'm gonna keep the website. Never delete it, never back down, just keep it. okay, well, what's going to happen? Am I going to have minus on my account? Is the transaction going to be rejected? Is it going to, how is it, it's like, it's too big. I cannot look at this. It's too big. It's too giant. All I have to know is be here and keep it together. Keep it together, right? Keep it together. And what helps me to keep it together is staying in the meditative state. Talking keeps me in the meditative state, right? Working keeps me in the meditative state. Needing things keeps me in the meditative state. Includes giving massages if I want to. I am not fond of massaging men. That's just not who I think I am. Right? And so these are just some of the things that are happening. But I feel so happy. I'm just walking here and I'm smiling. You can't see it, but you can hear it. You can feel it. I'm smiling. For some reason, while everything could look like it's terrible, nobody has reached out to me for days, at least not in a physical way. Nobody has reached out for me in days. It seemed like nobody gives a shit about my content. But I just think, I don't know, it's just going to work out. I'm just going to relax into it. But, also be strong and do my stuff. And so how long can I avoid to go to the internet and see what I have to do? It seems like I happen to have no more choice in this, but to just, right? I cannot keep going out to other people and do what they think I should do. If I'm being requested, that's something else at the moment. I will reach out occasionally, but it's too strange for me because I don't understand, right? And that's the weird thing. Every time I have a conversation with someone, I feel like that was strange. What did they say? Why did they say it? And what was coming through spirit? You see, it's too confusing for me. All this clutter. But who am I in this? And is everyone else still alive, right? This now Christopher's getting worried again. Which is why I may just have to stop thinking about these things and just focus on it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right, right? Every time I worry, I have to just remind myself, just keep repeating my name, to just get this little boy inside, just hey, come on, let's keep going, let's keep playing, let's just have faith, let's just do this in the best spirit that we have, no more angry talk, no more, I don't know, just do what you feel like. And then see what's going to happen. You don't have to work all the time, right? You can rest, but maybe find different ways to rest, such as sitting in silent meditation. Does it mean you have to do that all the time now? Well, not necessarily. What it means is that, also meditation is maybe a means to an end. I just learned to meditate with psychedelics, but then I also realized you can also do it without and feel the same way. And just remember the place that, feels like heaven, right? So just let it all happen. Because I'm always trying to control, right? Go to places, upload things. Maybe someone else is going to do that. And maybe they're doing it already, How would I know? Because I'm here. I see nothing. But in a way, I see it all. I see it all as a bit like okay, but I feel like I see there are things happening and people are working through spirit. And that's how it works. That's what sadhana is. You work from the place where you feel home and whole. But if you never knew this place exists, it's very hard to work from it. Which is why this then has to become some kind of refuge, where I can feel good and whole and home. But I can also look for other places. That's then called diving. Which is why, I have second thoughts about smoking, but at the same time, it's a way to let go. It's one way of letting go, for whatever reason. It's just the way. It's just that. It's just the way it is. Right? It's one way of letting go. And otherwise, I feel like I would be too slow. Which is why, the choices of my food are also inspired by what I feel. And everything else is just really confusing. Confusing thoughts, confusing ideas, confusing messages. But inside here, it's actually all clear. Inside here, it's all okay. But, I'm almost never in this place. I'm almost never in this place where I feel like this. This is how I felt like during ceremonies, usually. And now I'm just like this on my own. Did I do this myself? It's like, is it holding itself? Can I just relax into it? How do I know? Are other people meditating for me? Are they sending me help? I certainly have the feeling people worry about me. But I'm not sure. Still not sure. And you see, still not sure. It's down there. Up here is, hey, so what? I'm sure about doing this, because what I felt recently is that going out and, doing things with others is not always what I really, what I feel like my spirit needs. My spirit also needs quiet. I actually want to have like a simple mind where you don't have to make everything so complicated. You feel like being here, then you're here. Am I going to feel like, I don't know, going somewhere else tomorrow? I don't know. Because you cannot escape from life. You can certainly try. But at the same time, I just think that this is important for me to just be here and try to, keep my self from collapsing. Be here.